50%. Indians are not as interested in going to Australia. Just in 2010 alone, there have been 2 attacks already, a murder and apparently someone who was set on fire as well. What I've been interested to see is the news coverage of these kinds of events. In India, apparently the news media is up in arms, lots of accusations of racism. There was even an Indian newspaper that portrayed the Australian police in Ku Klux Klan garb. So, I mean, very inflammatory kinds of images coming out in the Indian media and accusations of racism. On the other side, in Australia, there's been some defensiveness. There's definitely been a lot of talk about how, some of these individuals may have been walking around in dangerous places, and it's not that surprising that if you're walking at night through a park, you might get attacked, and it really doesn't have to do with race at all. So completely different perspectives on the same kinds of events that are occurring. But there's definitely an economic cost to this. The international students contribute $13 billion to the Australian economy every year. And by one estimate, these kinds of incidents and Australia's response to them could easily lose $70 million for the country.
Well, Shilpa, as I understand it, 1/5 of all the international students studying in Australia are Indian. So I'd be interested to see if the Australian government changes its tune in its response when it realizes the true economic impact that this might have.
They're calling it the Hillary effect. There are far more female diplomats in Washington today than there ever have been before. There are 25 ambassadors to the United States who are women, and a lot of women are crediting Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, the U.S.'s top diplomat, for this change.
Well, you've got the Indian ambassador, Meera Shankar, who is an excellent example, but I wonder if you have to look back for the seeds of this change, if you have to look back a couple of administrations, because Madeleine Albright was the Secretary of State under President Clinton, and then Condoleezza Rice, of course, was the Secretary of State under George W. Bush. Is this truly the Hillary effect, I wonder, or is Hillary simply getting the credit for all of this?
No, I think you make a good point, Dinesh. Clearly, Hillary Clinton is the best known worldwide, very recognizable face, having been First Lady before. So perhaps she's getting credit for what has now been a pattern of the top U.S. diplomat being a woman. We've heard lots of stories about how using your cell phone while talking and texting and driving at the same time is really dangerous. But did you ever consider that walking while talking is also a problem? Apparently, distracted walking is the reason for a lot of injuries. And there are people who are on their phones walking down busy city streets where there's traffic, where there's a lot of things going on, and getting hurt in the process. It's not always involving a vehicle. Sometimes it's people walking into doors or walking into posts, and they're really getting hurt in the process, and I'm laughing about it. But I'm one of those people who does get distracted when I'm walking down the street and I'm on the phone. And there's a study from Ohio State University where they were looking at how these different distractions affect people. And is it really any different than maybe walking with a friend and talking to them at the same time? Apparently, yes, there is a difference. So here's what they did in the study. They had one of the students dress as a clown and unicycle all the way around campus. So a clown on a unicycle, kind of noticeable, if you would say. And about half the people walking past by themselves said they had seen the clown. And the number was slightly higher for those who were walking in pairs in conversation. But only 25% of the people talking on their cell phone said that they had even seen the clown on the unicycle. That's far fewer people, right, that actually were on their phone and paid attention. They call that inattention blindness, meaning a person can be looking at an object but fail to register it or process it in their brain. You see the clown, you see this unicycle, but you're not actually internalizing what you just saw.
Inattention blindness, I mean, my response to that, there's an app for that.
Of course there is.
Despite the economy, 2009 was actually the best year for Hollywood in Bollywood. And although the numbers pale in comparison when you look at the United States, I think a movie ticket in India only costs about $1.80, whereas a movie ticket here costs on average $8. But if you look at the numbers, Hollywood actually put together some pretty decent numbers in India. They say they expect to gross 20 million, which is more than they've ever grossed before. And you actually see some of these other interesting offshoots off of this whole Bollywood-Hollywood connection. There's a new company in the United States called Saavn.com, SAAVN.com. I believe it stands for the South Asian Visual Arts Networks or something to that effect. And they've actually compiled all the latest music and the latest video clips and information about the latest movies, and they put it on a website here in the U.S., which is actually great because if you've ever gone and you've tried to download an MP3 from some of these Bollywood music sites that are in India, you get bombarded with pop-up ads, and then your virus scan pops up, and you have this whole avalanche of problems. But this is a site that's run right here in the United States, and it has all the latest clips.
Well, speaking of Bollywood and Hollywood, we all know that Anil Kapoor has gotten a lot of press from his role in Slumdog Millionaire, and now you'll see him on American television. He has a recurring role on the drama 24. He plays the role of a Middle Eastern leader in the United States on a peace mission. And when interviewed about this new and exciting role, Anil Kapoor says he was inspired by Gandhi and Obama to play the part. Yeah.
I can't get through that with a straight face, but I do want to check out the show because I'm a big 24 fan, and I really am looking forward to seeing him in that role.
Well, that's about all we have for you this week on In Conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Stay tuned for Morning Blend, which is coming up next, and have a great weekend.
Namaste.